Hey guys, this is Turok, and in this video I'm going to be reviewing One Piece chapter 1177. And boy, is this getting interesting. But I want to preface this kind of with a interesting part. So it looks like Luffy and the others are about to go up against Emu. And I'm just wondering where this is going to go. Are they going to be able to beat him back? Or are they going to this is kind of going to be a stalemate? Because Emu is such a weird curveball that Oda threw into us. So to go back a little bit first, when we started One Piece, when I started reading it, I was not sure where story was going to go with the main enemies, other than pirates. We started with Luffy just going out to sea to find the One Piece, and then we started having him go up against different pirates and sometimes the Marines. And the ante with the Marines got up to when he met Captain Smoker, who started pursuing him, and then with the warlords, we saw that the warlords were these pirates. Some of them might have keep taking that title so they can avoid persecution while going for their own ends, like Moria and Crocodile. And so then when we got Cypher Pole as an enemy, and then we saw the Celestial Dragons, we're like, okay, the world government's all fucked up, and they're gonna probably stand in the way of anyone wanting to get to the One Piece. And then Blackbeard came out of nowhere, and being this guy who wants to overthrow everything. And from the post time skip up for a while there, it looked like, okay, he's going to be the final threat. Well, and then because he had this mysterious ability to have devil fruit, now we got Emu out of nowhere about 400 chapters ago now, right? Something like that. With right after Whole Cake, and it's just like, okay, now how is he's like, it feels like Oda's just up the ante so much. It's like now they're facing him right now before Blackbeard. So it's just like, how is Oda gonna make Blackbeard more threatening than Emu? What can he put there other than because Blackbeard's okay? He's got two devil fruits, and he's getting a crew that have very cool and unique devil fruits that give him a wide array of coverage to fight other people. But will his darkness power be something that's similar and evil to Emus? It's interesting how this will work because Emu seems to be able to delegate power to others and give them the immortality and the stuff we've seen in the last couple arcs now. So actually, one theory I have is I bet if Emu does get kind of defeated here, I have a feeling right after the end of this arc is going to be where Blackbeard and maybe Dragon at the same time. I wonder if they'll clash. I feel like Blackbeard and Dragon are going to fight somehow, and I'm wondering if they're one or the other. I feel like Blackbeard for sure are going to make an assault on Marijois right around this time as this stuff is happening, and we'll see it at the end here. And I wonder if they'll have some success, like Emu's knights here. Some of them are going to get defeated and be weakened, and so Blackbeard's going to like run roughshod over some of them. It's going to be very interesting to see if Oda's going to do that. Because Blackbeard's been taking advantage of stuff like that. At first, we all thought though first he was going to come to Wano when everyone was weakened like that. With when Kaido and Big Mom, everyone was weakened. I think Oda is going to do something like that, but I bet it's going to be with Marijois because we saw that the one the tap dancer guy. I can't think of his name right now. He was spying on stuff for Blackbeard, keeping a eye on what the Marines are doing at that port city below Marijois. And so it's like thinking, I wonder if he's thinking he can do something now, because now we also saw he had Katrina Devon copy Saturn's lookalike. So that's going to be very interesting. So, I'm sorry. Long story short, what's going to happen here? I'm just very interesting. Oda's having our heroes face against what seems to be the main threat of the whole entire story. Maybe he's trying to just portray that, do that so that we think, oh, they defeated the ultimate evil. But Blackbeard is kind of like a red herring, where Blackbeard really is the ultimate threat still, because we know he's from a unique clan that also was also one of the groups against Emu, or Emu's side of the conflict 800 years ago. So, anyways, I'm just really that's all just bubbling in my head while I've been wondering, because we're getting to a conflict here with Luffy and the others against Eam here. So anyways, the last chapter here we had, everyone's back, all the Straw Hats are up here now, and they're all trying to deal with the different problems that have arose from the God's Knights being here. We got Sanji regrouped with Nami's group, and they're now trying to put out the fire. And they were with the help of Lilith, they were able to. And then we had Frankie and Sanji, and help deal with. Wait, didn't someone else help them? Oh yeah, Jinbei was there too, right? They took care of Killingham. They went after him, and then Dorian Bragi and Harunen's group it was Harunen's group really. Harunen and Zoro, they figured out how to help Dorian Bragi, and now so they're gonna all team up together and deal with the rest of these giants that have been turned into Imu's demon army. There, so we figured out that if they kill their allies or anyone else who's been turned into one of Imu's soldiers, I'm gonna call them, they're able to they just revert back to being how they were before. It just kills that possession over them, really. So that's very interesting here. So let's get into it now. So we go back to the Western Village, and we have that's right, Loki and Luffy dropped off the children here after they were saved them a couple chapters ago, and now with the giants and Zoro and the other giants all working together to deal with the rest of the demon army, a lot of these parents are getting their kids and they're getting indoors quickly. Oh, that's right, there's a lot of fires there. Nami's gonna have to send Zeus there. That's right, because they had to get Zeus back. So anyways, Colin is here, and he's just like, no, I want to stay out and watch. He's like a happy spectator. He's like, get me the popcorn and everything. This is going to be amazing. And we got this one guy here pulling him up and saying, no, kid, let's get inside. And I think even some of the other kids here look like, hey, this is going to be amazing. We're staying out here and watching this. It's not every day that we'll get to see our parents and grandparents and everyone fight like this. That's right, because one of them is even Yaro's great-grandchild, I think. The little girl, one of the girls, I forget which one. So these other giants that are still part of the army that Dorian Bragi was just leading. Like, they're all like energized. And this isn't really them. If they're anything like what we just saw with Dorian Bragi, this is this personas this demon persona put into them that's like touching into the like baser instincts, and they're coming out, and inside I'm sure they're trying to want to wrest control from this possession, but they can't. So like Dorian Bragi and Zoro and Harun and the others are gonna like slowly get them back. But you can see the energy here that this possession that Imu does to them, and they're like, oh, come back to us, captains. Why'd you leave? This is the greatest thing ever. This power, this evil this is what we really want, isn't it? So that it's also like feels like it's touching into the giants back in like the days of Dorian Bragi, probably being really the last generation of that, being like, oh yeah, we're just kind of rowdy pirate, giant warrior pirates, and we're gonna go out to sea and pillage everyone we want. And this is them, all these people who have learned over the years from King Harold, like, no, this really isn't the best thing to do. It's bringing back their old selves, so to speak. And they're all just really enjoying that power. This is like the scary part of what Imu does. He like taps into their base instincts. I'm going to be very interested to see if Imu attempts this on Luffy and Loki too, because we've just watched the One Piece season 1 just came out. Season 2, the live action came out, and then I was rewatching that. I rewatched the anime version of the Little Garden arc yesterday, and I was watching that about how Miss Golden Week controls people with her paint, and how she did that primarily to Luffy. In the anime and manga, she only does it to Luffy. Well, I don't know about the manga for sure. Sometimes they make little changes in the anime. I watched the anime version just yesterday, and yeah, she only used it on Luffy. No, she did do it to Nami too, but we never saw which one. She like had Nami, I think, first, and then then Nami trapped Zoro, lured Zoro, and then I don't think the anime showed what they used on Zoro. We saw that both of them we saw what she used on them in the live action, where she used the yellow on Zoro, and I think she used the green on Nami. And anyways, she used a bunch of the other ones on Luffy, and Luffy was not able to he kind of knew that something was going wrong, but he also it was the same. The way it worked was similar to what Emu's doing, where the person inside knows something is wrong, but their outer actions can't be stopped. And this is exactly the same thing. What Golden Week did is the same thing that Emu's doing in effect with how their mind and their actions are. In this case, of course, they're now way more powerful as well. And the only other thing I know that was ever that close to that was what Django did, right? Too. Django had that hypnosis power also, and he did that to Luffy. He did it to his other pirate crew to make them more powerful. I was thinking about that one too because I'm trying to think how Oda has these similar powers and how they work. And Django and Miss Golden Week are two of the most interesting characters because they weren't using Devil Fruit powers to do it, and Emu isn't apparently either. And what Django did when he hypnotized Luffy, he got all feral in that story, and he went up to their ship and pulled off the part of the stern or whatever, so he was very feral then. So anyways, with Luffy's growth since those arcs, because those were way over 2 years ago now, and he's gotten the amount of power and like his understanding of hockey and stuff is so much different that I wonder if he would even be able to be affected by this. So anyways, rant again. It's just will be interesting to see if Emu will even try or if he'll just want to kill Luffy and Loki because they both represent a threat to him that he recognizes as we know for sure Nika and the way he implied with Loki's Devil Fruit that Nidhogg was also a power that was trouble for him in the past, so he might just want to kill them and take those Devil Fruits they have and throw them in the basement, throw them in a chest and into the ocean type thing, so no one ever can use them again. Anyways, yeah. So these guys are doing the same stuff. They're like a combination of. So Emu's power feels like a combination and a new version of what Golden Week and Django did back in there with their respective abilities. So this one guy here, he goes after Dory, and he actually breaks his shield here, and it does. Oh wow! I didn't even notice that. It went right through his forearm. But Dory's just looks at him with almost like pity and oh, this is how you submit to a new master. You have no more pride. You don't have the pride of the giant pirates anymore. I feel sorry for you. You should be ashamed of yourselves. So we have these four. Yeah, so we got Haruden, Stevison, Dorian Bragi. Just we're not even gonna feel sorry for crushing you in this form because this is just shameful of what you've become. Of course, it's just out of their control. It's just they need to have that I don't know if hockey would help. Again, it's still. I wonder if they had exuded. I wonder if Conqueror's hockey. Only people maybe with Conqueror's hockey could. Cause that would be something. So Harold accepted a covenant from Emu and became possessed. These guys are being forcibly possessed, and it's got similar stuff, but similar benefits it gives to the person that's that's one other thing. Could these possessed soldiers, I'm going to call them again, soldiers meaning they're soldiers to Emu. So I'm saying soldiers. Anytime I say that I'm referring to people that Emu turns through this dummy reversi. Can they traverse through the pentagrams just like the God's Knights can, I wonder? Anyways, Harold, the other thing I want to just point out is I wonder if somebody who's got powerful Conqueror's hockey can, negate this ability from happening to them, negate this thing from taking control of them. So maybe armament hockey wouldn't even be enough to stop this, because strong hockey can help with Devil Fruits. We still don't know for sure where this power is manifesting from. Well, we know it's out of Emu, but we don't know where Emu has gained it from. If he was born with this, if he's some demonic thing from another dimension type stuff. But if so, anyways, I wonder if someone with powerful conquers Haki might be the only type of people that can prevent themselves from being possessed without consent, basically. Because the covenant has to have some kind of consent, it seems, and then unless again, oh, there's something else again. Another parallel with Miss Golden Week. Can Imu go up to someone and sneak up on their back and just draw in the shallow covenant or any of the covenants he wants and make it work on somebody else? Like Miss Golden Week would draw those paint things on the ground or on somebody's clothes or on their back to make them listen to him the same way. So there's different, like, how we don't know yet how these little pros and cons might work yet with that way. So far what we got now is that the covenants, with the covenants, I think once you get the second and third covenant, Imu can control you from wherever he wants. The shallows one, I think you had to be close to Imu, and the depths and the abyssal seem to be otherwise. And then with this, you have to be close to him, and he lays out that go. What's the game called? Go, and you get too close to too many people, and then you're in their field of this energy they're also exuding, and it turns other people into it. But again, it'd be interesting to know because we saw that Conqueror's Haki wielded through your attacks can harm the gods, knights, and the others, but so we don't know. Maybe it can help resist. Okay, so now we go to where Chopper is. So he's with Kashi and Scopper. That's right. So Kashi, he found where all these guys, when Hiruden, Luffy was still on. When Hiruden and Zoro's group, along with Chopper, Scopper, and everyone, they came up with that lift earlier. Kashi here had got injured trying to stop Dorian Bragi, so he stayed with Chopper. Chopper's probably been treating him as well as Scopper. They both got injured badly. And so now some of these giants that are Domi Reversied have come upon this group. So now, like, Kashi's trying to stand up because he's not as injured as Scopper. You can kind of see here Scopper's getting IV treatment or maybe blood infusions or transfusions. So Kashi, unfortunately, though, is a little perturbed at having to fight his comrades here. He, unlike the other four we just saw, we saw Dory Bragi, Hiruden, and Stevison. They're like, oh, we're gonna have, well, they were sarcastically saying, oh, this is a real shame we have to attack you guys. But like, well, we have to do it because they both really, Dory and Bragi are kind of pissed off because they're like, well, we got transformed to this, we understand, so we're gonna like see you guys and just be angry at seeing our friends like this. So we're just gonna have a minor satisfaction in cutting these demons down and knowing that they'll be turned back. And Hiruden and Stevison, they want to help out, and they're like, well, this is bullshit what they're doing to our friends. Same thing. But Kashi here is having more trouble with that. So these other two guys are like, these other the possessed soldiers here are saying, oh, you can't attack us. Come on. Why don't you just come over to our side? This is amazing, this power. You can't even understand until you try it. This is just, it just reminds me of that. You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of those movies where people are like, oh, you got to try this new drug, man. You got to take it. It's not like nothing you've ever taken before. That's what the dialogue sounds like. And so Chopper's like, oh, crap. I thought they all went over there to the Western Village. This is my hospital spot. You got to go away. And Chopper, I think that's, it might be Scopper saying, so I think that's Chopper yelling us. Chopper's like saying to Kashi, you have to help, you have to fight them. They're going to get us. And you'll get surrounded. You'll get turned into one. So at this point, he's like, yeah, he hasn't attacked himself. We know he can transform, and he's going to help out in a moment. But, like, he tried to probably protect Scopper there. But he says to Kashi, please, you have to fight them. I know you're friends. But Kashi just can't bring himself to do it. I can't hurt them. But we're gonna and we'll come back to him in a moment. We go back to Hiruden and Dory and Bragi's group, and they're starting to take on these guys. And Bragi's funny. He's venting some displeasure he has at one of his friends here. It's like, hey, Gitanimo, I know we've known for ages, but I gotta get this off my chest. Whenever you ask for a bite of something, of my food, you always took more than you should have. And the other guy's like, sorry, Captain. It's like he must have. Maybe that's like after he transformed him. 'Cause that's funny. He didn't just laugh at him. So that's just funny. So now I can see actually what you can see what Dory and Bragi are using they're venting some frustrations they have with different friends and crew members here. I'm saying, yeah, you always went too far in stealing some of my food. That's just a little funny though, because in Bragi in the live action, he tells a story to Nami and Usopp about how it was like some kind of food he likes there that's a kind of sweetbread or something, I think. And he was talking about how he ate so much of it when he would have it whenever there was a feast. So I'm thinking, Bragi, if that story is something that Oda wrote or such, that sounds like you're sometimes a bit of a glutton too. So you guys are all at fault there. But I mean, okay, I guess maybe this guy took a portion that you already had or something. So it's just funny. They're all gluttony people, but it's also just funny. It's cool to see how Bragi's using that to that fuel to help fight them, because Kashi, as we just saw, can't bring himself to do it. He just can't. And so we switched to a lot of the other characters here doing their taking out these guys. They're just, none of them are holding back. We saw Hiruden using his fists. Is that one of his attacks he used before? And I feel like that's one. It may have been the one he used against that guy, one of Doflamingo's guys, the one with the ton weight fruit, the elevated version of Miss Valentine's. And we see Dory. Each one of them started dealing these devastating attacks that would kill the other person. So like you see Bragi's, for example, he just cleanly cut this guy in half. And we got Stevison and Zoro too still helping them. And they're all just doing like saying, okay, we have to do this, and we'll apologize to you guys later for because they're probably consciously watching behind like a veil where they can't control themselves. They're gonna be like, did you really have to do that to us? And it's like, well, yes, they did, because if we didn't, you guys would still be trying to kill us. So we get every one of these we got these five main guys here, the four giants and Zoro doing these clean attacks. Oh, look at that one. Zoro does. He does the one where he's just slicing his head off completely into pieces. Okay, so Yarl points out though, someone else is saying, wow, they're doing some very fatal attacks, aren't they? But I luckily they're not gonna die. No one should die from this based on what we just saw. But Yarl's like, they seem a little too eager though, and but it's just because again it looks like Dory and Braga are just venting their frustrations. The other guys, I think, it's just like, well, no, they're just trying to make sure you're safe and stuff. It's just silly a little bit. So we go back to Chopper now, and so he's trying to parry some of these attacks from the demon soldiers. So at this point, Chopper realizes, okay, I have to step in and help. Kashi is barely holding him back. He can't bring himself to get aggressive and fight them, or make a fatal blow. Actually, at this point, I should say these guys don't know that about this the way to defeat the demon soldiers. They're going to in a moment. So we got Scopper getting up like, okay, God, I gotta help out. There's no way we're gonna survive this, and if I'm not gonna go down dying. So Chopper, he gets out one of his rumble balls though, and he turns into his giant point. Or what's he call this one again? Monster point, I think it's called. And he swipes at one of those guys, and he hits the guy so hard. It doesn't look like he cut his head off or anything the way we saw the others doing at the Western Village, but he hits this one giant so hard. This is where we get this. They learn about how this works, and we get this. This is probably the best version Oda's shown how that works. He falls back after the fatal blow that Chopper did to him, and we see the little transformation reversed. You see the bubble of black flames and a dark. I don't know if it could be black. I'm guessing, and the the bubble thing returned, and then Chopper's like, wait, what's going on? And in the next panel, we see the flames dissipating in a circle around this guy, and it's like, what? He's back? Why? And so everyone's there's confused. And actually, I want to stop too. I didn't realize Chopper. I forgot that. I guess. Well, it does look different there at that scale. When I seen Chopper use his form before, I didn't think he actually was quite as tall as a giant. I kind of got his form's height was similar to only about as big as Big Mom's. I'm very impressed here. I'm gonna have to go back to Wano. I know that's the last time I think we saw him use this. He was fighting Queen before Zoro and Sanji returned to help fight King and Queen, respectively, in that performance area, that main area where Chopper was initially helping out there, and that's where he stays there too, and he's creating the an antibody or anti-drug to whatever it is that Queen was using on the Oni thing he's using on everyone there. So I just think this is really cool too. I want to point out too that it's really cool how many members of our cast of the Straw Hats that can get so big now. Because Chopper was the first one we saw, because he was the only Zone we knew of at the time, before the time skip. He used Monster Point and his lobby, and then during when Luffy used Gear 4, he got somewhat bigger, and we just thought, okay, he's inflating his body. But then in Wano, first we saw Robin. She's not a Zone, unless she thinks Oda's gonna retcon some other devil fruits. She can also do something where she becomes that very big demon form, and she defeated Black Maria. And then it was Luffy when Luffy awakens his fruit and he's fighting Kaido, he can transform into a giant form very easily. And I thought that was really cool parallel or kind of dynamic between him and Robin, where he's like a sun god, and Robin's like an Oni or on some other kind of demon thing. But I keep forgetting that Chopper is an actual Zone. Now we know Luffy is too, and they both can transform like this. The only thing that's different though is Luffy can do that because he's rubbery and he can just inflate his body, it seems, and his imagination is part of that power as well, and kind of like Bonnie in a way. So Bonnie can do that too now. That's right, Bonnie's the fourth one now. But anyways, back to Chopper. Chopper has to have the Rumble Ball. So again, I think I brought this up in another video, and if I haven't yet, I think that's going to be something Luffy is going to have to, I bet Oda has thought of, that he might would have Luffy do in the future in a tough fight. Since Luffy is a Zone, if he eats a Rumble Ball, he should be able to that should be able to make his body more powerful somehow, I think. Even temporarily, of course. It's just, the difficult part is Luffy's already still having a hard time using his awakened form for long periods of time. It really tires him out. If he stacks that with a Rumble Ball, I'm concerned that will really be detrimental to his health. Similar to how Gear 2nd initially was, where Lucci pointed out, you're like blood doping yourself, like artificially. He had to keep turning on Gear 2nd to try and keep up with Lucci's hybrid form back then. And it's like, if he might be in a point here, I'm starting to get this feeling that Luffy is going to probably be the one who could die unless Law steps in and uses the immortality surgery, because Luffy's just the transformations and the lengths Luffy's going to have to go to defeat Blackbeard or Emu is going to be very harmful to his body. So Chopper transforms into a huge giant here, and so now we got a giant reindeer man. And it's very appropriate. Feels very appropriate given we're an Elbaf with mythical creatures, and he takes out this one giant, and now they're going to realizing here, if we just defeat one of the demon soldiers, they can return to the normal form. So that's it with them, I think, for this chapter. So now we go to Nami's group, back at the Outlaw. So the others have caught Killingham, they're Killingham is okay. What's going on first? Oh, Nami's feeding Zeus to refuel him probably with those little things. Black balls. Okay, so she's refueling him because there's still fires going on because of the Killingham's conjured creatures. The I forget what they call them, and so they cut him up, and now Jinbei here's got Killingham's head and it's all tied up, and he's just yelling all kinds of nasty stuff at them. He's like, "Oh, curse you all! You know what kind of punishments await for people who dare defy God, or gods like myself as well." And this is funny too. It reminds me a bit. It's funny that because Frankie's here, because Frankie did something like this when Caribou snuck onto their ship back at Fishman Island, and he was planning on trying to start taking the Straw Hats out, and Frankie had to he tied Caribou up into a barrel so he couldn't leak out. So he's there doing it in the background. So Jinbei's the one holding Killingham's head, and Frankie's back there tying up the rest of the body. They're trying to keep him from being able to the parts from coming back together to be a threat to him. And so it's appropriate that Jinbei is the one holding Killingham because the celestial dragons in general don't like fishmen. And he's like, "Oh, get your hands off me, filth!" Yeah, and he's just being mere nasty. And Jinbei's like, "This guy's like all bark and no bite. Jeez." And Frankie's like, "I think if we put him on his parts in different boxes, we can keep them separate." Oh, you know what? Too, that's what reminds me as well. It reminds me of Buggy, and that's how they defeated him in well, they did the box version in the live action. In this version, I think Nami or Zoro, probably was Nami, because Zoro got cut up bad fighting what's his name. She like tied up his parts away so that Luffy could defeat. So yeah, it was only like his head and hands and feet got back together. She tied up his torso and legs. The way Frankie and Jinbei and Sanji are handling this is kind of similar to that, where so Frankie's there in the background tying up Killingham's body, and Jinbei's holding the head to keep him apart from being able to reform. So Zeus is just in the background like, "Thanks guys for saving me," and Nami comments like, "Oh, okay, this is I hear there's a way we could probably finish them off." So they're referencing probably what they heard from Scopper. So maybe Sanji probably had to tell him that because why is she saying it that way? Maybe she's just thinking, oh, maybe there is a way. Is there a way to finish them off? Because so far, yes, Scopper's the one who talked about harming them, but he didn't say it to these guys directly. Well, he did to Sanji. Maybe Sanji brought that up. I think Sanji's sitting on his suit. Yeah, it looks like they took him out of the suit he was in because he had the glass and he had the scuba gear, I'm going to loosely call it, so he didn't have to breathe the same air as commoners. And so they took him out of that, and he's just wearing whatever he wore underneath that when he arrived. And then Sanji's like, "So these are one of the knights that protect the Holy Land, huh? Interesting." So wait, so who else is there? Where's that's right, I don't think we see Robin in this one. Right, yeah, we don't see Robin in this one. So Frankie's like kind of glowing like, "Oh, I think we got too strong, Sanji." But that feels just right since Luffy's considered an emperor now. And Sanji's like, "Well, I wish I could believe that, but it's sickening to think that it just took a few of these knights to bring Elbaf to its knees." And he calls them scum, and then Killingham's like, "Yeah, you keep overlooking us, like saying don't underestimate us, you maggots." So Sanji's just really Frankie, he just got a little power up, so he can gloat. I don't feel bad for him gloating a little bit. He tends to be rather level-headed most of the time. I think he's just feeling a bit of a high right now, so I'll give that to him. But Sanji's like just noticing appraising what happened. So it's I like the dynamics here where everyone's kind of there's a combination going on. These three, when Frankie, Jinbei, are around, especially. I like them. They're some of my favorites because of how level-headed those two tend to be with the others. Because we get like, especially Sanji and Luffy tend to be like very. Well, Sanji's just when he's around women, he's like, oh, and he's just, and then Luffy just kind of gets ahead of himself. But Frankie and Jinbei are really good at being level-headed, and Sanji too when situations get dire, and really everyone. It's really good to see them all talking here and like thinking about like strategizing, acting normal, so to speak. The weird antics they have sometimes get a little too much for me, and so I enjoy these scenes like this where they're like, yeah, we gotta be careful, we gotta watch our backs and all this stuff. And and Jinbei's the one pointing out, yeah, we gotta be careful. There's still one more of them that's not harmed. So we gotta deal with that guy, and we don't know what kind of tricks he'll have up her sleeve. And so we switch to Nami, and she's telling Zeus, all right, Zeus, now that you've fueled up, there's other fires in Elbaf. Can you go around and I need you to try and start putting some of them out. And so she's like, Zeus says, yeah, okay, I'll fire it up, like energized, and I'll do that. So we switch to we see the same group where they're watching. So Loki's still going around killing Killingham's dream conjured things, and he looks like he's getting a little having too much fun. And Luffy's there too, jumping on top of him. Okay, so he's dropping fire bombs everywhere, electrical things. So this is okay. That makes more sense now. I was rereading this, and I was like, I'll get to it in a second. So, that looks like they're all laughing. Those are the laughs we got. On the right is we got this is probably Loki's. This is Luffy's, I think, and this one Takuri. Yeah, that's the Ragnar, the squirrel. So Luffy's still sitting on Loki's back. Loki, I remember, was yelling at him though, like get off me earlier. And it looks like he's having so much fun in the destruction here, being able to vent his energies and stuff, and do it in a positive way that he's kind of reveling in his power a little too much. And Luffy's like, oh, there you guys are, Nami, Sanji, Jinbei, Frankie. And they're all like getting a good look at Loki here, and they're like, Jinbei's like, oh my gosh, it's like a Neptunian. I think he means like a sea king. It's like, oh my gosh, that thing's bigger thing, like sea kings. And Sanji's like, oh, Luffy, there you are. Wait, so that means, is that Loki? And Frankie's like, oh my gosh, you got that dragon form's so cool. Oh, he's one of our buddies now? And then Luffy's like, yeah, look at this. This is amazing, isn't it? Look how big he is. So now we get this Nami moment. Nami as she is. And she's like, are you guys all idiots? So we get the Nami has more. So we got Luffy who's like a god. We got Loki who's a destructive dragon. But of course Nami's always got the superior power. The power of like yelling at, reprimanding everyone, I guess. And so she's just like getting fed up. She's like, you're making friends with weirdos again. It's great. He's taking out all the monsters. But look at him. He's splitting flames everywhere, making the problems worse. It says, yeah, what good is taking out the enemies if you also burn down Elbaf? And even Loki's like, ah. So Oda loves to have these moments with the characters being like this. And it's like, what's the point? Stop, stop doing this and like act like, what's the word? Act responsibly, I guess I want to say. So we get this spot here where like Luffy's like, okay, I'm sorry. And it's like, he's got that look too, like, and Ragnar's looking at him like, oh. It's almost like Luffy told him, because Luffy usually likes to tell his new friends, oh, this is my crew. These are all these amazing people I have. Like, I just watched him in the anime. I was watching this morning where he's talking to Ace. Oh, I got this amazing navigator and this great cook. So he's probably telling Ragnar and Loki about that. And Ragnar just has this look that looks to me like, oh, So she's that navigator you told me about. I guess she is a handful sometimes. And so Luffy's just like upset about this, and he yells at Loki, like, "Look what happened, Loki! You made me get yelled at." And Loki just like, he just like gets angry back, and he's like, you're not my boss or anything. Like, this is not my fault. And of course, like saying like, I'm trying to stop the people who are hurting Elbath. Why should I be scolded by your crewmates? And he looses out a breath of electric fire or whatever on Luffy. And oh no, it's just electricity, right? So it just like, that's right. So electricity won't work on him. He doesn't realize Luffy's rubber, right? Luffy's like, oh, it's just lightning. And Loki's like, wait, why doesn't that work on you? That's just funny. I keep forgetting. I thought that was fire at first he blew on Luffy. But no, he used lightning. And, Luffy didn't know. He's like, ah. Okay, yeah. So Oda's bringing back the moment where he fought Eneru. And, wait, so was he using fire too? Because I thought... Okay, wait, I'm getting confused on that. I gotta review back where he's using his power. I thought he only used lightning when he was wielding Ragnir in his weapons form. But he can shoot lightning too. Okay, I thought he was just shooting fire. I'm just doing the basic assumptions of a dragon shooting fire. So anyways, so now we get to one of the last big scenes here. We go to, so we find where Usopp's been. I forgot to bring this up, but when we saw the others just now, Usopp wasn't with them. The last time we saw him was, I think it was when, right in the beginning of the last chapter, or chapter 4, I forget, when Loki was going around starting to destroy Killingham's conjured things, Usopp was kind of freaking out, like, is that thing really on our side? And so but now he went and looked for Brook, and now he's caught up to where Brook has. We saw briefly Brook clashing with Imu, possessing Gunko, and so now we see that he's. I don't think we saw Brook either after the last time we saw Imu, he was like observing Loki going around destroying the Killingham's things. And so we didn't see what happened to Brook, but now we see that he's been pinned down with a sword. And so Usopp, at some point here between the last two chapters, has gone over here to help him, and now he's getting beaten down too. And Brook is like, please, Usopp, just run away. I came here to fight this thing for my own personal reasons. I didn't want you to get involved in this. Please, she's too dangerous. And Usopp, this is a great moment for Usopp. This is like his beginning of like his Elbath moment, because we all know ever since Little Garden, he's talking about being a brave warrior of the sea. And this is so appropriate that this comes out now, right after the live action release, and it feels nice to see him, the live action version, talk about this too. How he wants this is what his goal is, and so he's like, Usopp's really learning like that. I can't be him being in Elbath is basically having like a field effect on him, like a RPG, and he's like saying, no, I can't do that now. I'm finally here in Elbath. A real warrior doesn't run away. And so he keeps going on here with this great little speech. I can't wait to hear this. I can't wait to hear this in the anime from the Japanese voice actor. He's so good with Usopp. Like, I've dreamt of coming here for the last 3 years, something like that. And I'm not going to humiliate myself by running away. And he's like, and all the more so, I'm mad for this enemy here. Brook, these people are disrespecting Elbath, sneaking around and kidnapping children instead of facing them like warriors. This is very similar to Luffy too. So in Little Garden, again, I rewatched the anime version yesterday. Luffy was furious too about Dorian Bragi's duel being interfered because of it was Mr. 3's plan, and it was Mr. 5 put a piece of his an earwax or something inside some of the alcohol that they change it around too. So something else in the live action, what happens in there is and so in the anime manga, uh, Dory, the tall guy with the long hair, the blue ogre, he drinks alcohol, and it it blows up inside his body and causes some internal damage. And so he can't. But he still goes forward with their timed duel when the volcano erupts, and he gets hurt by Bragi. In the live action, they changed it the reverse way, where Bragi drinks some alcohol. They already had some there. They had like a barrels of it, and they both they're swapping it though. Maybe they each made their own or something. But yeah, Bragi's the one in the live action that gets hurt by the thing, and then he gets a fatal blow from Dory. Anyways, same thing. Either way, their duel has been messed up with, and so in the anime manga, Luffy's furious and screaming like, "Who interfered in their match?" And then in the live action, I don't think Luffy has a. Does he have a moment like that? I have to rewatch that part again. But I know Usopp finds when he's afraid to face the Baroque agents, he's looking for help, and he finds that Bragi is still alive, and then he tells Bragi in there like, "Your match was not a fair duel. They interfered." And then Bragi gives this great speech about fear, and you have to having fear doesn't make you less of a warrior. You facing something you fear while being afraid, like it helps you. I'm saying that wrong, but my favorite way is always in the movie The Dark Knight, when Bruce is trapped in that pit and that one prisoner tells him, "Fear, how can you fight without the most powerful impulse of the spirit?" I think is how he says it. The fear of death. And so Usopp's really learning from that throughout this. And he's like, the Elbath again, being here is really making him like, I will not stand for this. The pride of the Elbathian warriors. He's like, I want to be like them. I won't want to see my friends and their nation disrespected with your underhanded tactics. I love it. If I want to be like you guys, I got to defend your ways as well. And he's going on, you attack a kingdom with monsters rather than fighting yourself. You take over the minds of proud warriors and force them to kill each other. Yeah, I like that. You're playing scummy, cowardly, and cheap. Shame on all of you. And as he does that, Imu's just so sick of him. He comes up, he's using Gunko's body, and he just gives Usopp a solid kick and sends him flying. And this gets like Brook angry, and he tries to get up. Is like, "Usopp, are you okay?" And then he turns and is he using like Gunko's power on him? I don't know what he's using there actually. I can't see any of her. She used those arrow things. It looks like she's using something that's more like a telekinetic power, and it's like freezes Brook solid. And so, but then Usopp gets back up, and he continues like, Elbath is a proud nation of warriors, and they live with their swords and shields. They carry with them their entire lives. It says, if you want to rule them, you have to fight with pride and fight them head on, you coward. And so we get to see the type of person Imu is in this way. He's like, no, a ruler does not sully their hands with tawdry matters. So he's got this. I want to stop there because this is basically that. I was thinking about the differences with different generals in like ancient history. I like studying different cultures like that, and this reminds me of more like the general at the back end of a battlefield, like a Julius Caesar or somebody else, where they would like be planning out the attack or something like that. Whereas what Usopp's talking about would be more like Alexander the Great or his father, Philip II. They loved to fight in the front lines with their soldiers. They didn't hide in the back. I'm sure they did some planning. They think about, okay, how do we defeat this other army? How do we get around their flank and use our cavalry? but Alexander and his dad love to fight in the front lines. Emu sees that as beneath him. So, like, Alexander, the great type people in history would be like, ugh, you disgust me. See, they'd be with Usopp, basically, in this matter. Like, ugh, how can you just stand there and do these underhanded tactics? Fight them fairly. Fight against them without, kidnapping children and all this other stuff like that. So Usopp gets close and like, wait, what did he use there now? Let's see. So I can't tell. I'm a little confused how this happens. It looks like Usopp gets close and he's ready to fight use that one bomb attack, his skull blast grass. But it looks like Emu's using his telekinetic power to block it the last second, and it just blows up. So there's a huge explosion with that. So it partially works, but it looks like it backfired on Usopp a little bit because he's down there, knocked out, and it looks like it might have hurt Brook. But it did, like, you do see it blew up and close enough to Gunko that and Emu per se, that her head and all her wings and that are blown up, but she's slowly like regenerating. So it just wasn't good enough. So I appreciate Usopp's effort. That speech was really good. I love how Usopp really like stood up for the others. So the last page here, Luffy and Loki appear. Oh, Ragnar's here too. They've shown up right after the attack, and so Loki is focusing on Emu, and it's like, this is the one. This is the source of the Haki that reached even the underworld. Luffy, meanwhile, though, jumps down. He's checking on Usopp and Brook to make sure they're okay. And so they're both out cold there. And so Luffy's just like, this is the Oda's the last. So Luffy looks toward Emu like, you've pissed me off now. And Loki kind of like reaffirms like, well, forgiveness was never an option. Like, after I've seen you do to my country, I don't care no matter what. And Loki, so Emu just like looks at him. He doesn't look afraid at all. And he just like gives him an ultimatum. You can either obey me or die. You too. Face me now. This battle will decide the divide of the world. And it's just boom, end. Holy crap, they're so good. I hope in the next one too. Now, my first thought is like, I want to see how Oda draws Loki's hybrid form. Because he might want to start throwing lightning right at Emu right away, but Luffy's going to have to get Brook and Usopp out of the way of the battlefield now. This is probably going to heat up very fast. I have a feeling Loki will stay in that form first and attempt those attacks, but I feel like that point's going to be similar to when Luffy fought Drunk Kaido back in that village, and it's just going to be like Loki's going to have to transform and shrink because Emu's probably going to be very evasive of any of Loki's wide range attacks elemental attacks he can wield here, and it's going to be tricky to fight him that way. And now I hope we'll finally get to see some of whatever else Emu can do. Like, is he gonna will he try the Domi Reversi like I brought up earlier, or will he try to use whatever he just did against Brook and Usopp, or will he what's the other thing I was thinking? Well, he used Gunko's power too. Since he's possessing Gunko, I wonder if he'll try and take advantage of her abilities to try and like tie down Loki, for example. This is going to be really interesting now, because now we got not only Luffy here, but Loki. Like, I've been imagining that what Luffy would do against Emu since like Egghead, but it's like now this is like the factors here are so interesting, because it's like it just feels like it's the advantage here is stacked against Emu, but we know so little about what else he can do that it's like what will happen here. So this chapter was amazing. Yeah, this is just like Usopp's moment. There's this other stuff going on. And yeah, the only thing that's bothering me, the only other thing too that's still bothering me is I want to know where Robin and where that owl Biblo? Was it Biblo? We didn't see him still. We know they were putting a fire out there. Where was that now? Did they show the fire? I think that was here. Yeah. So we can see the library and the school there. So the fire looks like it's out. We can't. The way he drew it there, it doesn't even look like there's any damage. I'm sure there's got to be some. Like it's probably all charred up, and he just didn't show that much there. But hopefully, most, if all the not all the books are undamaged from the fire, because obviously a lot of the O'Hara books that were salvaged from 22 years ago are in there as well. And so yeah, we didn't see. So yeah, we saw every Straw Hat, I think, except Robin in this one. So hopefully in the next one I'll briefly cut over to that and show where she is there. We also didn't see Summers in this one. Wait, what happened to Summers last? He got punched by Luffy, so he's probably still recovering. That's where they took him out. Killingham. Yeah, that was the other chapter Summers was. So yeah, things are starting to just round. Now we're really like, this feels like this is going to be the last several chapters of the fight. I wonder how many what Oda will throw in here, because it's kind of like some of the other stuff is slowly becoming solved by our other allies quick in the last few chapters. They're taking out Zoro's group is taking out the Domi Reversi giants. Chopper's helping too. The Chopper and Zoro's group, and then we got Loki and Luffy were taking care of the conjured things from Killingham, and Sanji and Frankie and Jinbei stopped Killingham himself. So now it's just like it feels like it's near the end now. And so yeah, I wonder. The one other thing I'm having a guess on too is like I wonder if like Gunko will stop Imu or hinder Imu in this battle, especially if Brook gets involved. It looks like he may have fully possessed Imu. Imu may have fully possessed Gunko in here. And when they were clashing a few chapters ago, she tried to yell at him to get away, but he's still there. Brook stayed and fought him, and now Brook and Usopp are both all beat up. So we'll have to see how that works. Because this is very interesting too, because Imu's possessing her directly. He's in her body, controlling it. Whereas the other stuff we've seen him do, the Domi Reversi and maybe the Covenants are similar. The Domi Reversi, he turns them into his demon soldiers, as I've been calling them. And but then with the Covenants, we saw how he did it with Harold. Once you get the higher Covenants, he was controlling Harold against Loki, and Harold was trying to fight back that. So I'm wondering if it's similar to what when Harold was fighting the possession from a distance, if Gunko will do the same thing in this fight when he's fighting Luffy, Ragnar, and Loki. And I wonder if the last thing too is I wonder if we'll see anything kind of power up now for Usopp. This has been like the biggest thing I've seen people talk about when it comes to Usopp, was will he get some kind of power up? He's got all these amazing ammunition he uses, but will he get like a special weapon here or something else to augment him for this battle and like the next stuff with the Blackbeard pirates? Cause like they just did with Frankie. And yeah. So thankfully too, I think there's no break next week. So I hope, because I'm recording this on Monday, hopefully on Friday we'll get the leaked chapter. I can't wait. I'm gonna just lose my mind the next few days waiting to see either two things. Have Imu get his ass kicked a little bit, where he like realizes the dangers of these two, or he already does, or the other way where we learn Imu is way more dangerous than we thought. Like he's gonna pull some different abilities out that we're not expecting. That even a Sea King sized dragon and a sun god are gonna have trouble against. So yeah, that'll be interesting. So anyways, that's all I got for today. Thanks for watching.